Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, The Daily Quest. I'm Elle for those of you who don't know me, and today I have a little makeup routine slash get ready with me video for you. I don't know, I don't feel like the makeup I do is anything special. People just have an interest and I'm here to feed the people's needs, their desires, right? But yeah, so if you want to know what products I use, as well as learn a little bit more about my journey with makeup, then yeah, definitely stay tuned. So for my first step in the mornings, I always wash my face with like really cold water, and I use African black soap. So I did that already, and it's extremely drying, and like I feel my face like already getting ashy. Next step is Hansen's like witch hazel. I have a little travel container of it, but it's just a clear, like pure witch hazel liquid toner. It's really cooling, to be honest, like especially when your skin is dry. Everyone should begin their makeup routine by moisturizing, and I use whipped shea butter, which you can see in this little container. And what I do is I take about like this much, which is kind of a lot, but I rub it like in both of my hands like this, heat it up so that the oil gets all shiny, and then just go like you do this to your kids growing up. And my mom used to do this to me when I was little. So let's get into the makeup journey a little bit. So I started wearing makeup in high school. Earlier, I wasn't allowed to wear makeup by my parents, which I think was a good decision because a lot of times in like middle school, especially for young women, your bodies are changing, your appearance is changing a lot. So I don't know about y'all, but I was a little insecure kid in middle school. And, you know, my dad made it his mission to help me feel confident in my appearance. And I've always appreciated that from him. I also want to add that before you touch your face at all, you should always be washing your hands. I have an oily skin type, and I remember being insecure about it in Egypt, and my dad was like, we're in an oily country. Anyways, when you are choosing makeup for you, there's some primers, moisturizers, and whatever else that are based on your skin type. Whether you have dry skin, oily skin, or kind of like a hybrid mixture, I like to go for mattifying looks that keep me looking less oily throughout the day. So right now I'm gonna blot my face with a towel. I started wearing makeup in high school. I was undergoing this like really prominent transformation in my appearance. So I was like, why not amplify that with makeup? And my dad was my most prominent caretaker growing up. If I was gonna wear makeup, he would definitely tell me if it looked bad. He really was a strong proponent of using makeup to enhance my features already, which is kind of what I try to do with my day-to-day look. I use the DHC primer. I get this on Amazon. It says it's velvet skin coat, but it's really matte. And I have tried other primers, and like the point of a primer is to kind of like a barrier for your skin as well as like a gripping situation for your makeup. And this primer doesn't really have much grip, to be honest, but I love how matte it is, and I love how smooth it is for makeup application. While that's kind of like setting and drying, I do my lip liner. I know the order of things is like kind of whack here, but this is what I do. So I use the Rimmel London lip liner pencil, and I use a Revlon sharpener. It's in the shade like brownie. And my lips also have like a double line. So like the pigment starts, and then there's a line of like skin as well. So I try to do somewhere in between the pigment and this like line. So one thing that I noticed immediately when I started doing my makeup was that people perceived me really differently. When I was in high school, I was definitely not the cutest, and people would say so, which totally wasn't cool. When I started wearing makeup, those same people come to me and like make positive comments or comments that they thought were positive. And they would be like, oh my God, you're glowing, or you look so good today, or what are you doing differently? Like, even, so I'm not even just talking about the classmates, like my teachers would come to me and say like, you look so pretty, or you've grown so much, or like, you become such a beautiful young lady. And like, they were all trying to be lovely and nice, but it felt like a switch had kind of been flipped, and all of a sudden I was considered pretty when previously I wasn't. My next step is concealer, and I use the NYX Professional Makeup HD Studio Photogenic Concealer in the shade 06.3, which I think is called Fresh Beige. But this is like the closest shade to my skin tone. And when I put it on in front of my friends, they're always like, oh my God, you look so orange. And then it like melts into your skin and it looks so good. But I typically place it like right under my eye bags. And then I place a little bit here to kind of get a wing / lifted effect. And do not rub your concealer in immediately. I would say the concealer I use is pretty much medium coverage. While that's setting, I do my brows, and I use the Brow Stylist Definer L'Oreal Paris in the shade Dark Brunette. So first I'm gonna use the spoolie to kind of just make sure everything is lifted so that I can make a clear line of definition on the bottom of my brows. I feel like my brows are the most important part of my face. Every girl has a piece of makeup that they can't live without, and mine is my brow pencil. And there's this YouTuber that I love to watch. Her name is Kenny JD, and she does like a lot of like movie commentary / like reviews / summaries. But she once, the great Kenny JD once said, eyebrows are sisters, not twins. And I have lived by that ever since. I try to underline and like shape my brow and then do light strokes to kind of fill it in. I try to keep like the starting point of my eyebrow close to the corner of the inner corner of my actual eye. But the tail is an experiment every day. Yeah, so when I was in high school, I felt like there was like poof, transformation. Everyone started treating me differently once I started wearing makeup. And here's kind of what I have learned over the years. I have learned that when I do go outside with less makeup, people do treat you differently. It's not like, oh, like you're ugly or you're like the slime of the world type thing. But you just get treated like average, you know? And I don't want to be average. When I do wear makeup, I feel like I gain so much social capital. And that has like propelled me in my career, in the day-to-day.
Purple apples!
Oh, I simply love purple apples. Can't you give me 3 samples to a pretty lady?
Sure. Do you know one?
Can't you give a free sample to an ugly lady?
When you put on makeup, you have put effort into your appearance, right? So obviously you're more confident in the work that you put into yourself, that you invested into yourself in the mornings, right? And no one can take that away from you. So when you step outside, you're automatically more confident in the way that you present. So that's one benefit. And then, you know, especially as a woman wearing makeup, I feel like men definitely treat me differently. I mean, this is common sense, but I don't necessarily mean in a romantic context. Men will, you know, open doors for you without necessarily expecting a romantic exchange. Or, you know, you might go to a store and a guy thinks you're cute, so they give you a little discount on like the item that you want to buy, or you might not even be interested, but they just want to get your attention. And like, yeah, like that is definitely pretty privileged, but it's privilege that you kind of earned because you did your makeup that day and you spent time. I'm a strong believer that makeup is really transformative. So if you feel like you wear makeup and you still don't love the way that you're presenting or like look, I think there's just more research to be done, right? Because I've seen videos online, especially people like in Asia. I think it's like China specifically, but I don't know for sure. But like they transform their whole face just however they would like it to look, whether it's conventionally attractive or not conventionally attractive. It's just attractive to them. So I basically started wearing makeup every day because I was like, you never know who you're gonna run into. Quite literally, President Biden was getting tacos one time in like Westwood, you know, like, so I was like, okay, you always want to be on your A game, right? But then when I got to college, I was like, oh, you know, there's some weekends where I'm not really going anywhere. I called them dress like a boy days, because I would wear like an oversized t-shirt and wear like very minimal makeup, if any. And I remember going outside and this guy who I thought was my friend was like, oh my God, like, are you okay? I was like, yeah, why? He was like, oh my God, you just look sick.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
I've never lived that down, and he and I are not friends anymore. Because why would you say that to somebody? Eyebrows are basically done, so we're gonna blend out this concealer with our fingers. I do put it over my nose, just so everything in the center of the face is a little bit cohesive. Obviously, it's like making this center of my face like really solid and bright and one color. Next step, I like to use the Fenty contour in the shade Mocha. It has a rounded tip, and I do it a little higher than like my actual face contour. I do my nose, and I do a little triangle like this, so it looks like a little V. Do a little wing, the brow, roughen it, jawline snatch. Probably about time that I get some new brushes, but I pretty much only use these two the most. I also have this kind of flat brush for like packing on pigment. So when you blend your contour, you should be blending up. You never want to drag down your face if you can. And there's like a little line of contour here. I don't know if you can see, or excuse me, a little line of concealer here. We do want to preserve that line so that we kind of have a bit of a lifted look. Gonna blend that straight into the nose, over into the eye area. I'm also gonna use the same contour stick, but in a different shade, Amber Suede. I use this shade because it helps like cover up any hyperpigmentation. It's a little like cool toned for me, but if it like stands out too much, I just blot it with my finger a little bit because it has leftover contour color. And now it's time for blush. And I use the Rare Beauty blush in like the shade Love, which is kind of like a terracotta color. And I place it like high on my cheekbone. And you really just want to do a dot because this is really pigmented and it spreads really easily and it lasts all day. You just have to pick the shade that kind of works for you. But I like terracotta. I like a little more orangey kind of look because that's what gives me the sun-kissed color. If I use a red, it looks like I'm like inflamed or something. Like it looks like something's wrong. So that slight orange like blush, and as you can see, I do it in like a diagonal line while maintaining that concealer like look. And then any excess, or maybe if I don't have excess, I'll do a little, that was huge. Any excess that I have, I rub in the center of my forehead, rub on the bottom of my chin, on my nose, you know, just to keep the look a little bit more cohesive. It's very light, very flush. I very much have a cat face, And I like to emphasize that. I don't do a cat eye all the time, but for my everyday makeup, I do kind of make my lash line a little bit heavier towards the outer portion of my eye. And I'll use the excess to make the tiniest wing, if there's any. Then I'm going to use the Rum Matchsticks highlighter, which is also Fenty. Here's what it looks like. It also has that rounded tip as well, but it's like a gold champagne color, but I keep it kind of inside the tube a little bit, and I get that packing brush that I mentioned earlier, and I brush it and put it on my inner corner of my eye. I am a hypoallergenic girly. Like, my mom's mascara literally like makes my eyes red and like I start crying and shit. So I use the CoverGirl Lash Blast Volume. First of all, orange is my favorite color, so love that. But it also doesn't irritate my eyes in the same way that most mascaras do. This one I might need to replace very soon. I also don't use a lash curler, but now it's time for the lip combo. But right now I'm gonna use the Charlotte Tilbury. That's a lie. I usually use Charlotte Tilbury, but because I have orange hair, I've been focusing on making my lips a bit lighter than darker. So I've been using the Pat McGrath 1995 108 in the matte trance lipstick. Here's what the package looks like. It has a little heart on it and the bottom of it. I really don't like the packaging so much because it feels a little flimsy, but here's what the color looks like. And I love the product because, as you can see, I'm not even like wiping it on my lips. I'm just dabbing because this will stay all day. And like when I put gloss over it, girl. But I'll carry this with me throughout the day. And then this lip gloss that I'm gonna put over it is the Mentha Shimmer Lip Tint by C.O. Bigelow. My bestie Evelyn gave this to me, and I love it so much because it has this pearly sheen. It has like this glitter in it, similar to like Fenty lip gloss. This particular shade is like mint flavored, and you can smell it, like it's really strong. And I always think, as like a girly on the go, you need to be having like dental products with you, like dental floss, maybe like a little toothbrush to go, or just a little mint lip gloss. So I definitely recommend this product to everybody if they like the color for their skin tone. So yeah, then I close everything out with the One Size Until Dawn Mattifying Waterproof Setting Spray. This baby keeps everything locked in place. Love it so much. Love Patrick Starr and all his products. So we're gonna let that sit for a second, let it marinate. But yeah, so that's kind of my journey with makeup. That's where I'm at right now. I'm really enjoying it. It's just really expensive. So, but I really have a lot of fun experimenting with looks. And if you want to try any of these products, definitely let me know what you think of them in the comments down below. But just to show you the final look up close, here's what I'm looking like now. Definitely not the crusty dusty girl that we saw in the beginning, huh? So if you like this video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe for more content like this. But yeah, stay tuned for the next one where we find new ways to explore, create, and level up.